JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. November 20th, 2024, 8:34. It's going to be a really quick rant here. Do apologize. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Talk really quick about the market, some names I'm in, and go from there. Take a look at the futures. Slightly in the green. A stark change from yesterday when we were uh, down on those Russia headlines, and we reversed those. So solid sign here. The big headlines, of course, is NVIDIA after the close. Huge earnings. Probably, I keep saying it feels like one of the more hyped earnings in recent memory, which leaves an opportunity for disappointment, even if it's a strong result. So hopefully that's not the case. But the key spots here on the SPY 585 held up again for the second session in a row. Third session in a row, excuse me. Did it Friday, Monday, Tuesday. And then 590 finally broke at the end of the session. So that looks like a strong support. So hopefully we can stay above that 590 handle. We get a monster report from NVIDIA, guidance that's at least in line with most people's expectations. It's going to be a raised guidance, and the markets can go on their merry way and get that big elephant off the back, right? So that's kind of the best case scenario. And then I think we head towards 600 or so on the SPY into the end of the week. On the flip side, if there's hiccups, if they make some announcement around the overheating, or if there's things that cause a miss or some concern, then you start worrying. Okay, is it, they'll keep calling it. And I remember, I think it was Doug Cass back when Alibaba IPO'd and markets were rallying. And then they sold off. He called it the Alibaba top, and that was 300% or go on just the overall markets. So everybody always likes to create the narrative. It will just be an opportunity to take profits, and then there'll be a dip. But I'm hoping that doesn't happen. But always open to possible probabilities of something like that happening. Take a look at the yields too. A good sign yesterday. Another slightly lower session for yields. I hope that trend continues, and then I think that'll bode well for markets. All right, so now individual names, and gosh, I mean, what else to say about Lemonade? It's up here at $43 here in the pre-market. Uh, it started the week in the low 30s. It had its investor day yesterday, which I totally forgot about. The stock opened at 34 and change, and then just took off to the races. Broke that 35 and then never looked back. Closed over $40, closed more on my December strikes out for nearly 900%. And then I just held a couple, and then I went and added some strikes into next week because I want to be in a spot where I can hold the December strikes and still make money, right? Because you don't make money if you don't sell. So, and now the more I looked overnight and looked at this morning at that investor presentation, I mean, it's just extremely bullish. And if you remember my rants on Trupanion is one of my favorite names in the insurance space, but they do pet insurance, but so does Lemonade. But insurers are very hard to value, just especially young insurers who are looking to disrupt the market. And then you look at the folks who short the names, and they shorted Trupanion 35. I don't even know what the short interest now, but that stock is up quite a bit this year, over 100%. But they pile into the short because it's a very easy target. They play with the numbers and they say, wow, it's a zero or whatever. And you go look, and Jim Chanos was short Lemonade, Citron Research was short Lemonade. So a lot of these folks were short to name, 30% short interest, and you look, and it's like a $600 million amount of stock being held short, and it's a $2.6 billion company. I mean, the higher it goes, obviously the market cap goes up, but also the value of the short position, I think, to squeeze over $50 in the next week or two, and maybe possibly even higher. So I'm not going to sit there and hold the boat for that outcome, or hold on with both hands for that. But that's why I went and got those strikes. In the next week, if it breaks 45 here in the morning, I may try to get some other speckles. The issue yesterday was that the Lemonade strikes only. Sorry about that, folks. They only go up to $50. Well, thank you, CBOE. Now they go up to $60. So I'm sure they're going to be up to 70, 80 in the coming days. So that's a good sign. So maybe I might look to get some 60s for some crazy FOMO. So call me crazy, but sometimes you have to be crazy to make crazy returns on an option trade. All right. So that's Lemonade. Not going to go too much on that. JOBY, I posted that the piece on the JOBY short. So it was Kerrysdale Capital. Kerrysdale Capital came out with a short piece on JOBY pretty much a year ago, pretty much saying it's a zero, right? Because the cost of manufacturing their vehicles, the battery cost is never going to get sustainable enough for them to be able to do 120 miles. There's a whole thing, and you can read it. It's good bear case, but I don't. You can make the same bear case on some of these other names that are disrupting sectors and been completely wrong, and they've been completely wrong, and I think they're going to be completely wrong to the tune of a couple 100% at least in the coming 6 months or so. So really love JOBY. Got that upgrade from Needham yesterday. Like to see it up to 750 in the coming coming weeks. I was actually looking at April strikes. Don't be surprised if I add some of those, but it's a great story. Also, if you take a look at the track record of carriers that are capital hurting, they went on and said they're going after miners. This is back in the spring, Bitcoin miners. Actually, maybe in August. I don't know how that's worked out. Mara, Riot, all those CLSK, Clean Spark. So, yeah, and then they were also the one who wrote this big hit piece on micro, right? MSTR, MicroStar, whatever it is, the Bitcoin ETF. So, well, not the ETF, but so here it is after it's split up, 700-800% since they came out their piece. So just, I mean, if you're looking at a track record, I think they also came out with a short piece on Tilray. So maybe they get some right, but they've gotten some really wrong. So take that with a grain of salt when you read the JOBY report. And sometimes I like short reports because they read well, right? There's a lot of due diligence, maybe some things you didn't even think of. Because if you just mute out everybody and don't listen to the other side of the story, you never learn anything. Even if they're wrong, right? All right, so that's JOBY. Take a look at Square. Rallied. It felt like it was asleep all day, and just like it did on Monday, it finally broke out in the afternoon. I think last Monday was 90. On Monday it was 91, all the way up to 92 and change. No, it was under 90, and then closed. Let's see what it did last. I don't have that on the list. I don't have it up there, but anyway. So yesterday it was at 90, 91 bucks into 3 o'clock, and then all the way up to 93, closed at 92.42. Thankfully, able to lock some of my calls in for 100% to cover costs into next week. And here it is this morning. It got downgraded by a boutique analyst. They took it from $93 to 88, so they lowered the price target $5, and then they lowered it from outperform to neutral. I mean, to me, it's like getting in front of a Mack truck. I, you know, sometimes it's momentum, right? So these names, especially in the crypto space, and look at Square. It's like an under the radar play for crypto. It's like they have, it's like a steam locomotive on a rail track, and it's not hitting the brakes. Eventually, it might slow down, but right now, it's like you get in front of that steam truck, and that's what they're doing with Square. It's like, why would you downgrade it here? You probably look like more of a hero if your price target was 92 and it goes to 110, and then maybe you adjust your price target. But I think it trades triple digits in the coming weeks, if not this week. So don't be surprised if I add more strikes. I'll probably wait till 94 or so, or maybe even 95 for adding some more later day strikes. Not next week, maybe further out into December for some overshoot. Maybe it gets to 110, 120. Don't forget Square was a multi-$100 stock, but that's back in COVID. You can look at some of these names and make the same case. Lemonade back in 2021 was a $170 stock. So doesn't mean it gets back up there, but it looks good on the chart when you pull it back on a longer term time frame. All right, so that's that. Dell. So I really love Dell into the close today. I mean, unfortunately, it was uh, just weak yesterday and found some footing into the end of the session. Closed pretty much flat down 0.08%. So really did nothing besides kill premium yesterday. This morning, you have Evercore adjusting its price target from 140, 150. I don't know if that's some of the move, but I think if Nvidia farts about Dell, I think it's going to go up to 150. So I'll continue to hold those strikes. Again, they report earnings next week, so the premiums are tough to trade outside of this week, which is hence the Friday expiration. That's Dell. Roku's down this morning. I don't see any news there's no analyst downgrade that I see. So down here at 70 bucks, actually broke under 70 for a minute. 75 is a 50-day moving average. Well, 74 and change, 74.69. It couldn't hold that yesterday. Couldn't break that on Monday. Gonna have to get above that before otherwise I fear that then you start looking back to earnings levels. I don't think it's going to get there, but certainly not adding more strikes. Thankful I was able to lock some of my calls in to cover costs when I got the chance. Trying to think of some of the other names here. Obviously gold up again. I think it'll be the third session row, but again, it was down 5% last week. So to see it bounce here, I mean, I hate to have it because I still have some December strikes and obviously the Januaries, but I'll continue to look for opportunities to play that for downside. Because I think at some point, especially as Bitcoin nears 100, was it did it hit 95? Was it 94 and change before? Yeah, 95. Once it hits that threshold, that store value argument. I think it just goes and it'll catch up. And then I remember back, I think it was 2014. I think gold sold off 7% one day. I have to go back and look. And I wrote the article like the day before. It was like March 17th, 2024. And I used the analogy of like the leprechaun and golds. There's no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And then the next day, gold sold off 7%. I'm not saying that similar things going to happen. I think one day there's going to be, I wouldn't call it a intraday correction, but it's not going to be a 1-2% move. It's going to be a large outside move. And when that happens, there'll be some opportunities to make some nice coins, especially if you're in before the herd, right? All right, so that's it, folks. I'll be back on audio later. So have a great day. We have about 46 minutes to the open. Rock and roll.